part 2 of my homophobia videos. So, I mean, I guess I knew when I was younger, whether I completely understood or not that I was gay, I don't know, but I certainly knew by the age of probably 10. Probably largely to, I think, actually finding sort of a cartoon character hot. Is that weird? I don't know. But then again, let's face it, loads of people thought Jessica Rabbit was hot, and to be fair, she was. But moving on from that, I mean, all throughout my sort of school years, going into my college years, I was bullied quite a bit. I mean, I was a fairly shy, quiet, small kid. I mean, I don't really remember sort of like, play school and stuff like that, because that's, I guess it's kind of, I should imagine it's kind of difficult to be bullied there. Although I can remember there was like little bits and pieces. I know I was pushed off the top of a climbing frame, but I only remember that because I was told about it. I can certainly remember going to some event thing, I don't know what it was, and some kid pushing me over or taking something off me or something. It's a bit vague. I can remember there was this thing that I wanted and I was pushed off it, and it was, yeah. I mean, that I guess is probably more just general kids being, well, not kids necessarily, but, not exactly homophobic bullying. I mean, I know I was bullied at primary school. I can't really tell you what kind of bullying it was, because I don't really remember, to be honest. I know I was pushed about a lot and called names and things. I honestly really can't remember what they were. This included actually being, excuse me, how rude, bullied a little bit by one of the teachers. He was somewhat unpleasant to me, but I mean that ended once my parents found out, who were less than happy, as I'm sure you can imagine, and wanted to have a few choice words. Like I was saying in my previous video, I have a family that loves me, and even now, as old as I am, you don't mess with the kids. I mean, my trouble is I'm not gifted with a very good memory. And, there's a lot of things that I just really don't remember. I certainly can remember, being pushed about, punched, like when you go to the, toilet, my primary school had outdoor toilets, and there's like one of those long urinal things, standing there and people like pushing you while you go into the toilet and just stuff like that, really. They wouldn't get away with it now, that's for sure. But that was a nervous laugh. But yeah, I mean, when I left primary school, certain aspects of it had improved, some of it hadn't, and I was supposed to go to quite a large secondary school, but it was decided between myself, my parents, and the schools that I wouldn't go there. I'd go to a smaller secondary school because, I was fairly shy, very timid, I guess, as well. And, that I think, well, I guess you could say that's where, I first sort of remember, sort of homophobic bullying, I guess you would call it. Despite the fact that I wasn't out, certainly then, and was very, very much... I don't want to say in denial, because I don't think that's right. But was certainly trying not to be gay, basically. I mean, I know at my first day at secondary school, I went home with a black eye and a ripped coat. Again, I don't actually remember that. The only reason I know is because my mum told me. So yeah, that was my first day at secondary school, which is, you know, yay! I mean, I did have, you know, I mean, generally all the way through my sort of school, certainly, time, I was always friends mostly with people in the year below me, than I was with people in my own year. I mean, I did have a few good friends in my year. One particular good friend, you know, who, you know, I've not really been great at the whole keeping in touch thing. I'm just really, my memory and things, and I mean to text people and I don't, and I'm getting off track again now, sorry. It's not what I'm supposed to be talking about. So yeah, I mean, during my time at secondary school, I was often, you know, called gay and other derogatory gay terms. There was a year above me. Actually, he wasn't in the year above me. He was older, wasn't he? Because he might have been in his final year when I started. I can't quite remember. But his favourite pastime, anyway, was whenever he saw me, was to punch me and call me fragile. So yeah, thank you for that, you prick, if you're out there somewhere. And you know, I was subject to a lot of bullying through secondary school. And you know, I mean, it was homophobic bullying, but I guess at the time maybe I didn't consider it because I didn't consider. Well, you see, this is how I don't know how to really say it, because at the time I was trying incredibly hard not to be gay or not say that I was gay, even though I think, you know, at this point, you know, I definitely knew, but it was kind of, I think, because of all the bullying that happened sort of before, and all, you know, lots of times of being called gay and things like that, you know, it was about not wanting to acknowledge that, because in my eyes, I guess it kind of made me feel like, well, you know, these people that have been putting me down, they're right. And, you know, they weren't. Well, I suppose in the calling me gay they were, but in the manners and the ways and things that they did it, they weren't. And, you know, this carried on through into college a little bit. When I started college in my first year, I did an IT course because I had to do an extra year at college, just because I didn't have the grades to go onto the course that I wanted. In the classes that I had, there were a group of people that took great pleasure in sort of calling me, you know, the usual sort of gay bullying terms. And, you know, again, I still wasn't out at this point. And the interesting thing is, I mean, in my working life, you know, when I've had jobs, people have always been a bit unsure whether I am gay or not. So I don't think that I don't know if it's just the fact that I was shy and timid, or whether, you know, there are certain things about me that sort of scream it or what, I don't know. But I don't know. I'm getting off track again, really. But, you know, through my college, certainly my first year, there were, mind me again, I'm so sorry. It was rather posh, wasn't it? I was bullied quite a bit, and a lot of that bullying again was, sort of gay-related bullying. And then second year of college, which was my first year of my business course, there were a group of sort of, I'm trying to think of a word that I can use that isn't going to lump a whole group of people together, and I really can't. So I'm just going to say a group. And they, for a short time, took great pleasure, again, in a lot of homophobic sort of commentary and name-calling and bullying and that. Luckily they weren't there that long, I think 4 or 5 months, and then most of them dropped out. And in fact, actually, one of the people that had been sort of part of that group, or they hadn't really been exactly one of the bullies, is actually now one of my best and closest friends, which is... he's been an incredibly good friend. So it just goes to show that sometimes, I don't know, people can surprise you, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but he's a very good friend anyway. And I can tell you now, certainly, if anyone ever, said anything while we were out somewhere, he'd probably be the first one to smack him once. So. Well, actually, probably after me, but actually, no, I don't. I'm not a. But anyway, moving on. I'm waffling again. I do that when I'm uncomfortable about talking about certain things, which this is certainly one of those things. And I think with homophobia, I think there's always deliberate homophobia. People that just for some reason just hate you for it, and I don't know why. I don't understand why. I just don't get it. I think, and not to defend it, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just talking about sort of all kind of cases and things. I think sometimes people are possibly unintentionally homophobic. They don't necessarily mean it how it may be interpreted. And what I mean by that is, like, one thing that's been said to me before is like, it's such a waste, that you're being gay. And it's not said with malice. I think it's just said without thought, really. Right or wrong. I'm not making any judgments on this one. But provided that, I'm happy and, fingers crossed, hopefully at some point I'll find someone that I love and loves me, I can't, it's not a waste because, I'm happy and I'm in love. And, hopefully at some point I'll have a family as well. So, I think sometimes people say things and they don't necessarily realise quite what they've said. But, I'm not attempting to, defend anyone being homophobic, and the thing about it is people do take things as well in their own way. But that's something else I'm going to come on to now, because there are certain words that I just absolutely can't abide at any time from anybody, whether they're gay or not, gay, straight or whatever. And there are certain words that I just. That being said, I'm also quite bad at like saying things, like, oh God, that's just so gay and things like that. And it's probably terms that I shouldn't use, but I do. But I think it's because some of these sayings have become sort of very entrenched in society, rightly or wrongly. So it's sometimes difficult to sort of get out of that. But I despise people using the word fag. I don't know why. I just really hate it. It's one thing that if someone uses it in any term regarding me at all, I don't like it. And in jobs that I've had since, there's been what I guess people would call banter, and there's a lot of sort of, because I came out when I was 21, something like that, 20 something. But in my working life, there's been, a lot of sort of gay sort of slurs and things like that, and I think at the start I kind of just took them on the chin because I didn't want to be the gay guy that all moans about everything, and I think that sort of comes from those past years of the bullying, because I guess you just in a way kind of come to accept it in some situations, and I now find myself in one of those positions where it happens quite a lot, and even with some work colleagues I will use, they'll say things to me and I'll go, oh yeah, okay, shut up, you homo, or something like that, and it's but it's kind of you get yourself into this sort of circle where even though sometimes people say things and you're like, ooh, but you just sort of ride it because rightly or wrongly you've allowed it to become okay, and they think it's, they see it as just banter, but given the things that have happened in the past, it doesn't always feel like that, even though they don't necessarily mean it in a malice way. It makes you think about all the other things that have happened, and I think one of the other things as well, when this sort of thing happens is, especially like I say, I can only really speak from my own personal experience, although I'm very, very sure I'm not the only one. As I was saying, when I was a kid, I was very shy, very thin, very timid, wasn't a big lad at all. And I was an easy target, and I wasn't particularly confident, and then sort of all this bullying and all this sort of hate and things compounds that and just adds to it, and it affects you in other ways because I was pretty unconfident for a long time, and then in the mid-90s I was fortunate enough to have quite a big piece of luck, and that I think that helped me become more confident, if not maybe even overconfident. But then I made a huge, monumental mistake. And even now I still find myself sort of at times blaming myself for that. At the end of the day, it was really down to the fact that I was 17, 18 and stupid, which, let's face it, most 17 and 18-year-olds can be at times. However clever you are, you're always going to have some moment somewhere where you're an idiot. And it was just the fact that mine was a massive shining example of it. And a lot of things fell apart, and it's affected my family ever since. And sort of, I made that mistake, and I know I made that mistake, and I know that it, it's affected my family since then. And then that's compounded by all of this sort of negativity that I've had before and after that, and you get yourself into this sort of thing where you're always then doubting yourself again, and you again have a massive loss of confidence, and I'm probably really not explaining this very well at all. I'm probably not doing it justice, and someone else can probably do it better. But it just sort of everything compounds. It just all compounds the issues, because you've had these people telling you that you know, you're this or you're that, you're worthless, you know. And then you make a massive fuck up, and then you're like, oh my god, they were right. And it just, you know, it comes down on you so hard, and it hits you like a ton of bricks, because, you know, everything that's happened, you know, it all comes flooding back, you know, all of this sort of hatred, and you're, you know, oh, you know, you're this, you're that, and it just massively compounds the issues. So, you know, I mean, making a, you know, a big mistake any time is always going to have an effect on you, and then all of a sudden you've got all this other crap on top of it, and it really doesn't help. And then you know, you go forward, you know, you try and go forward from that, and you're getting more crap on top of that. So you've got a whole layer of crap, a massive mistake, and then more crap, and it just, it's enough to drive you crazy. And for a little bit, for me, you know, I did have a few, shall we say, quirks. Things went a little bit, you know, I mean, that's maybe something for another time. I'm not going to go into details of this too much, because I don't know if I'm really stuck to the point or not here. I hope I'm getting my point across. You know, and then, you know, it took a long time to recover from that, and then something else happened, and I was, it was in, when was it? It's been about 2005. I was watching something unfold, and I tried, I mean, to be honest, if I'm honest, I really didn't stand a cat in hell's chance of pulling off what I was trying to pull off. But at the end of the day, I tried to pull something off and failed. You know, it just never came together. And again, you know, that was something else that, you know, sort of knocked my confidence again. And you you end up in this sort of circle, really, you know, when something like that happens. And to this day, that particular thing still haunts me quite a lot. And it's daft, because most people would say that it shouldn't do, and I'm an idiot for letting it, but, you know, I do. But moving sort of back to what this video is supposed to be about, I mean, what I was trying to get at there is, you know, homophobic bullying, you know, it's not just going to affect you in one particular way. It can affect so many aspects of your life, and your future life, and your future decisions, and your future confidence. You know, it just doesn't affect one tiny little bit of your life. It affects all of your life. You know, that's the point I was trying to get across. I hope you kind of picked that up. I'm pretty crap at this, so, you know, you're going to have to bear with me. I also don't particularly like talking about my life. I'm quite private in that way. But again, that is probably in a large part due to a lot of this. You know, I mean, and, you know, even sort of after I came out and things like that, you know, I still saw homophobia, you know, sort of out and about. I mean, depending on what the situation was, I think at that time, depending on really how I dealt with it. Sometimes I would just ignore it. I mean, I can remember one time I'd been out clubbing with my boyfriend at the time. We'd had a good night. And we were walking back to his place up the road. I got our arms around each other's waist, just walking up the road, doing nothing. And we walked around these people, and they shouted some homophobic abuse. And, well, I'd been out, I'd been drinking. I get a little bit feisty. You know, and I was set to ignore them, and then I was like, actually, no, I'm not going to ignore them. I'm going to go back there and punch the fucking guy in the face. Luckily, my boyfriend was like, no, you're not, and dragged me home. Because I think I just got to that I got to that point where I just really had enough. You know, I was in my mid-20s, I think. 20-something anyway. And I had enough. And I got the old drunk courage and confidence going, and I'd had enough at that point, and I was just, you know, I was going to go. So yeah, you'd probably kick my ass. I'm a lover, not a fighter. What can I say? I mean, I can remember another time. Was I with I can't remember if I was with the same guy. I think it was the same boyfriend. In the town I live in. Well, there isn't a gay club anymore. It closed. But when there was a gay club and a gay bar on the street, each other, and it's pretty much the only bar and club on there. And then like sort of slightly further down, there's a fast food place, and then slightly further down was the end of the road. And we'd walked up, and we'd gone past the fast food place, and we were halfway between the fast food place and the club, which is where we were going. And there was a group of guys, 3 or 4, standing outside the fast food place, just like eating. And we were halfway up, and again, I think got arm's length race or something. And they started shouting all this homophobic abuse. And we stopped and looked at them just to say, "What the you on the gayest street in the town?" But before anything else happened, the bouncers at the club had heard them shouting and sort of stepped out and sort of just they were big fellas. Looked at them and they sort of shut up and fucked off then. Excuse my language. You see, it does annoy me. You know, and I mean, at this current stage in my life, I think with the exception of working environments, I am more likely if somebody says something homophobic to me to turn around and tell them to go fuck themselves. That doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't still have an effect, or it still won't have an effect. Because like I said, it just compounds, and it can affect every single bit of your life, and it can compound other issues, and especially if you're not a particularly confident person like I wasn't. And to be honest, I mean, a lot of my friends will probably tell you that I'm quite confident. And the fact of the matter is, it's all of use. I'm probably still one of the most unconfident people you could ever wish to meet at times. I mean, it's kind of funny because I have a job where I do have to stand toe to toe with people, hold my ground, and be quite forceful. And when I need to, and when something happens, I don't know where it comes from, but I will always sort of step up and, say or do what the thing that needs to be said. But, a lot of the time, I'm constantly in sort of a self-doubting, sort of not wanting to go and ask a question in a supermarket kind of mode. And it's for someone of my age, it's a bit pathetic really, but again, it's just compounded by all of these things, all of this, you've got these two sort of events in my life that sort of haunt me, and then you've got all this other crap, and people don't, I think, well, no, people probably do realise, actually, or at least some of them will realise, the effects that what they do and what they say are going to have. But I mean, I've been called names, pushed, punched. No one should have to go through that. And, no one should have to deal with all this crap. So, I think while it's still happening, I think we need to talk about it more. But I think, although I've probably done an appalling job of it in this video, I think what we do need to talk about a lot more is the effect it has on people, and how it can just affect literally every part and every aspect of your life and make you doubt yourself in so many ways that it's, it doesn't just affect one tiny thread of your life, but I mean, I've always said, I mean, I am gay. It's not, well, to me, it's kind of irrelevant. It shouldn't matter. Well, it shouldn't matter. You know, it's not sort of. It's just something that I am. It's not. It's beyond my control. You know, it's not something that I chose or made or did or whatever. You know, it's just a part of my life. But the trouble is, you know, these things can affect you in so many ways, and I'm kind of. I'm not really. Well, that's embarrassing. Someone didn't put his phone on silent. Yeah, that's really embarrassing. I can't believe that just went off. Oh man, that just completely destroyed my entire train of thought. I guess the point I'm trying to make is, you know, homophobia is a very, very bad thing, and it, you know, even the, you know, the lightest sort of bit of bullying, you know, name calling, you know, when it doesn't turn physical, it leaves, you know, scars and impacts you or the person that it's happening to in such a way that, you know, it just needs to stop. I hope I've done this video at least some justice. Thank you very much for watching these two videos. If you haven't watched the first one, then you know, please go and watch it. And thank you for coming by. I promise my next video will be a bit more light-hearted. Yeah. Bye.